Yahuwah's gentle sweet, a holy day that's free from worry. In His embrace our souls find peace so deep. No cooking pots, no broom in sight. We rest our hands and quiet our mind. In Yahuwah's love, everything feels right. A sacred time that's truly one of a kind. The Sabbath day is His delight. From sunset to sunset, we revel in His light. A gift to those who love and obey. The seventh day we'll honor always. No work for hands or employ to strain. We gather hearts in worship and praise. His commands we follow not in vain. With songs of joy and thankful gaze. An appointed time for all to share. Age to age, it's forever blessed. In this calm our burdens bear. The seventh day, day of restful zest. For all time, for every nation, Yahuwah's day of serene devotion. Generations will keep this celebration in reverence and with pure emotion.
Alrighty, Shabbat Shalom, everybody. My name is Jason,
I'm Caden. I'm Jaden.
I'm Nicole.
I'm Eli.
and we are the Yahuwah and the Torah channel, and we thank you guys very, very much for being a part of this appointed time on this seventh day of rest that we are hanging out with all of you guys, and we are the family who believes that the laws, statutes, and commandments that are found in the first 5 books of Scriptures are the laws and rules and regulations that govern our lives through the rest of the Scriptures. And when we take on the protective coat of the first 5 books of Scriptures, it puts us into what people call a covenanted path. A path of a covenant is a lot like a lease agreement. You walk up to your house and you talk to your new landlord, and your landlord tells you the property address. He tells you what is with this address. He will tell you if garbage is included and sewers included and water's included, and you will sign a piece of paper. And that piece of paper says that as long as I do what I say I should do according to this piece of paper, and I pay you my monthly fee, that this house will be mine and you will not come and kick me to the curb. That is the same kind of promise that our Creator has given to us. He says from the very first pages of Scriptures that if you will keep my laws, statutes, and commandments, I will be your Elohim and you will be my people. All the way from the beginning of the book, all the way to the very end of the book, and all of the Apocrypha in between that, all says the same thing. The only place that you will ever find something that sounds a little bit different from the rest of the standard of 7/8 of the book is when you get into the writings of a gentleman who is writing to a people who is not you. He is writing answers to letters to problems that these people had that are not you. And he's talking about situations and things that have come up, problems, issues, things that are not you. And so when you take these writings and these letters and you make it a doctrine, you have done what they call traditions of men. And that is something that our Messiah Yahushua, there were no J's in Hebrew, his name is Yahushua HaMashiach, he was always telling about traditions of men. In fact, the Pharisees and the Sadducees were always attacking him because they love their traditions of men. Deuteronomy 4:2 says, we do not add to and we do not take away from the scriptures. But yet you have hundreds of thousands of other religions out there, and 100% of the so-called religions out there violate a simple command, Deuteronomy 4:2, which says, do not add and do not take away from the word. And so we are the family who promotes scriptures, all of them. We encourage everybody who has never ever read the scriptures to begin reading the first 5 books at least 5 times. And once you are into your scriptures and once you become a covenant people, then that covenant people, it's a breath of fresh air. All of our understandings of this so-called world that we are in has all been a lie based upon the understandings that we have gotten from traditions of men. And so it is by our own eyes and by our own understanding that we can figure this out, because our Creator has given us these scriptures, and He's given it to us for all times and for all generations, and preserved it. We're 6,000 years beyond what creation is right here, and we still have right before us a preserved copy of scriptures that we can read, that there's no mystery to it. Mystery is when you put things into a religion and you come up with all these things that aren't in scriptures. You come up with this Trinity. You come up with all of these Sunday worships. You come up with all of these horrible, horrible things that are not doctrinal. They don't appear in our scriptures. And so if they don't appear in our scriptures, that means we've gone rogue. And if we're going rogue, that means we're not going to inherit the kingdom, because the kingdom is not for rogue rebels. It is for those who are in obedience to our Creator. So with that, much love to all of you guys. Shabbat shalom to all of you. Cade, will you please open us up in prayer?
Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. We thank you for your Torah. We thank you for your Shabbat. We thank you for your Nebula. And we thank you for watching out for these people, watching out for this family, that we are able to unite on a Shabbat on the day you have set apart, and we're able to come together throughout all the world through this virtual way to learn your Torah, that we can all speak of your Torah, think of your Torah, talk about your Torah, and understand what it is you want us to do and how it is you want us to walk. We thank you for your Son, thank you for your prophets, and we thank you for guiding us to this path of righteousness, the path of Torah. We ask that it is blessed, it is sanctified, and that we are always on this path, and we do not stray from this path. In Yeshua's name, amen.
Okay, all right. So here we are. Jade, will you please open us up with a Shema?
Yep. Hear, O Yisrael, Yahuwah Elohim, Yahuwah is one. And you shall love Yahuwah your Elohim with all your heart, and with all your being, and with all your might. And these words I am commanding you today shall be in your heart, and you shall impress them upon your children, and shall speak of them when you sit in your house, and when you walk by the way, and when you lie down, and when you rise up, and shall bind them as a sign on your hand, and they shall be as frontlets between your eyes, and you shall write them on the doorposts of your house and on your gates.
Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful things right here. Just this verse alone clears up so many things that we have in our world that is very, very confusing. The Trinity is one of them, and I get every week there's somebody that gets angry with me over the Trinity, over the entire thing. And that's the thing about programming. When we're programmed, especially in a cult, we learn to be angry at certain things that we don't know why we're angry at, because it will challenge what our belief structure is. And then when we're called upon our belief structure to prove what we believe based upon scriptures, we can't do it. And so it's very important that we do align ourselves in the eyes of the Torah, in the eyes of the world. And this particular Shema that we just read right here, this is how important these words are today, is that we need to write them on our heart, impress them on our children, sit and talk about them. We're sitting here completing this command here, as you and I and all of us as this little itty bitty tribe right here is talking. We're discussing this. We are talking about them as we sit in our house. I'm encouraging everybody to talk of them when you go to work, when you are not sitting here on a Shabbat day. It's all about being a Torah life and a Torah world. And so it is very, very important that we do this. Let's greet our people, Mr. Cole.
All right, we have William and Sarah, Razul, America, Silver Patriot, Candy and Ruby, Sherry, new name, so welcome to you, Charles, Jeremy and Callan, Elizabeth and Andy, Nellie, Daniel, Richie, Cornelius, another new name. Did I say Scott?
I don't know, but if not, we can say it twice. What's up, Scott? How you doing, buddy? Good to have you, buddy.
Joanna, Yehoshua HaMashiach is my savior. Genie out of this world. Rick Johnson. Scrolling. Honeymoon Stitch, Brian. I'm scrolling. Obi Lines, The Grand. And I think that's everybody. If I missed anybody.
Did you say our Kodak moments?
Nope, they just came in.
Yeah, our Kodak
moments to you as well.
Good. Much love to you, my friend. Okay, let us talk about this because inside of this, Jeremy said, he said that the law, where do you say that right there? And then they were just talking about
It's
that.
up further.
Up
Hold
further.
on.
Jeremy said right here, the Torah is not abolished. Now, for those who are in religion, if what was said right there upsets you, let's decipher real quick why the Torah being abolished or not being abolished would upset you either way. So what we're about to go into is we are about to go into this Torah that when you look at the majority, I mean, you look at 100% of religion says the Torah has been abolished. If there's a single religion out there that actually talks about the Torah being of value, I would like to know. Because as I have known, I have never ever found it. Even the guys like the Seventh Day, what are those guys? The Seventh Day Adventists. They have they only keep like a part of one command. They, some people are like, oh, those guys are Torah keepers. They're not Torah keepers. They keep one single command. There is a lot of commands, and yes, keeping the Shabbat is a wonderful, beautiful, extremely great start. But there's a lot of other commands, and for those who think that the laws should be abolished, let's start reading through these. Tell me in the chat which one of these commands should be abolished. What command does not apply to us in this life that we are in? Because all of these commands that we're about to read through are extremely important. They've been given to us for a reason, and that reason is that we can protect our soul. That's the whole reason that we have the Torah, is so that we know right from wrong in the hands of our Creator. And a lot of people know right from wrong based upon the man's laws, right? We know we shouldn't steal stuff. We'll go to jail. We shouldn't murder somebody. We'll go to jail, things like this. But we actually have a government above us that is the commands of our Creator. This is the government commands of the government that we should be following, right? None of us have a man president here. We have a president. His name is Messiah Yahushua. We have the creator of the universe. His name is Yahuwah. And it's between these two that we have a beautiful set of commandments that have been preserved for all time. So as you guys want to throw these in the trash, go ahead and let's get into the chat and let me know which ones should go in the trash so we can chat about them. Okay, commandment number 1. Be fruitful. I see no reason to throw be fruitful in the trash. Anyone?
Nope.
Okay, next one.
Multiply, replenish the earth, subdue it, have dominion over the fish, fowl, and every living creature. The earth bearing and every tree is for food. Man and woman should build their own families.
Hold on, let's go back into it real quick. Yeah, so Seventh-day Adventists, so the Grand was talking about this, Seventh-day Adventists, they believe that Ellen G. White instituted dietary laws. Ellen G., and that's the thing, is those who are stuck in that particular cult, Ellen G. White didn't do anything like that. In fact, Ellen G. White has broken the prophet test of Deuteronomy so many times that she should have been killed. I hate to say that, and I know that's going to really make a lot of SDAs really mad, but according to the prophet test of Deuteronomy, so Ellen would go into a trance, and she would go into a trance for hours and hours, and then she would come back with some sort of prophetic stuff. And a lot of the stuff she came back with never ever happened. It didn't happen. There was nothing to it or anything like that. In fact, she was always out there telling people that if you fed your man meat, like if he would become aggressive. Wasn't that what she said?
Yeah.
Feeding your men like steak would make them aggressive, and you wouldn't want to have an aggressive man, so you wouldn't want to feed them steak. There's all sorts of crazy stuff inside of that religion, and they are not Torah keepers, right? We have dietary laws that came from Leviticus 11. We have all of these things right here. And the problem with any religion at all is it's satanic. You can't find a religion anywhere that I will not be able to label satanic because they have man-made traditions that come with it. And anytime man gets involved, then we end up with a doctrine that is outside of Scriptures, and a whole bunch of people that are floundering around because they have some lying preacher that's telling them lies for 10% of their money. Okay, continuing on, gents.
Master sin.
Every clean moon that lives shall be food for you.
Do not eat the blood. Walk before me and be perfect.
Guard Yahuwah's covenant, laws, statutes, and commandments.
Okay, hold on real quick. How did she ignite the trance? I don't remember how it was that she ignited the trance, but I remember reading about the entire thing where she would sit there. I mean, she sat there for like 8-9 hours, no food, no nothing, and was just completely going off onto this stuff. The entire setup was demonic. It was absolutely demonic. And here's the thing: is if you want to be a prophet and you're out there saying this is going to happen, that's going to happen, according to the Torah, there is a prophet test, right? You can completely see if somebody is qualified to be a prophet, and if what they say does not come true, you should pick up the rocks according to the Torah. And so everybody that's out there thinking that Ellen G. White is this great thing, it's the same people with the Mormons. They have their Joseph Smith, and that dude was a Freemason. That dude literally was out there stealing from a bunch of people. That dude kept going to prison all the time because his little prophet stuff, he kept ripping people off. He would tell them, oh, rain was coming at this point, and this and that. That's why Joseph Smith was actually in prison. That's why he ended up dying in prison. They made a martyr out of this guy when he was trying to escape from prison. So all of these fake celebrities that everybody's hooking their chain to, their soul chain to, they go against Torah. Okay, continue on, gents.
Let's see, are we on every male shall be
Yeah.
circumcised 8 days old?
Teach your children the command and guard the way of Yahuwah.
Remember Yahuwah's name for all generations. Keep the Passover, Pesach.
Keep the feast of unleavened bread, festival of matzah.
There's one Torah for the stranger and one for the Hebrew. Sanctify all firstborn to Yahuwah.
There are no mighty ones before Yahuwah.
You shall not make graven images. Do not bring Yahuwah's name to naught.
Keep the Shabbat.
Honor your parents. Do not kill.
Do not break wedlock.
Do not steal. Do not make false accusations against your neighbor.
Do not covet anything of your neighbors.
Do not make an altar from rock that Chula has touched. Do not go up to the altar by the steps.
If a man steals cattle, he shall restore it 5 times.
Yahuwah's laws for criminals. Do not lie with beasts.
No sacrifice to other Elohim.
Do not oppress a stranger, fatherless or widow. Do not charge your brother interest.
If you borrow your neighbor's remnant, return to him before sunset.
Do not curse the ruler of your people. Do not eat what is torn of any beast.
No false report.
Do not follow multitude of evil. Do not judge unrighteously against the poor.
Bring back your enemy's cattle if you find it going astray.
Help the animals of your enemy. Stay away from rumors and gossipers.
Take no bribes.
Do not oppress a stranger. Love the stranger. Give your land rest in the 7th year.
Do not mention any pagan names.
Keep the feast of Yahuwah.
So, the Feast of Yahuwah, I want to touch on this real quick because, you know, there's a lot of big names in this Torah community, a lot of big guys that have been here for decades. And, you know, what I've noticed, and I don't know if this was always like this, but I had a guy that I used to hang around with quite a long time. And I would have said that this guy was my friend. But as of late, because we have moved over to the Zadiki calendar, this guy who I've actually dined with and had food with and spent a tremendous amount of time, this guy won't even reply to my emails. He is so upset about the feast times. And I simply ask him, please show me in Scriptures where we have a 13th month. And this is the year, I guess, all the Jewish calendar people, they all have the 13th month, and everybody is even further beyond what everyone is. But I ask him about this, right? And it's crickets. It's ignored. This is a high-end Torah teaching guy that gets his email and usually used to always reply out. He's so mad at me because I'm simply asking for a piece of Scriptures out of that. And I suppose back in the days, I was a lot like this. I really thought I was onto the right calendar. I really thought that somehow I had ordained the magical understanding of exactly what the calendar is. And I will tell you, honestly, without a shadow of a doubt, I'm not convinced on any calendar. I'm not convinced on, you're not going to be able to convince me. What I'm least convinced on are the Jewish calendars. I'm least convinced right there where everybody's like, well, this is the 13th month. We're going to do it like this, and this is the way it is, and there's no Scripture to it. How am I ever supposed to be guided by that? And then continuing on, you have all these nice guy Torah keepers that are supposed to be very, very nice and diligent in explaining things to people. And if you challenge them whatsoever, they can't back this up. And so I don't think it's worth, at this point, tossing stones at people, backing it up. Like if somebody forced me on my life to back up the Zadiki calendar, I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. What we learn in our lives is that sometimes things do change based upon the information we are given. And as people of Yah, we need to continue seeking and seeking and seeking. But the same individual puts out newsletters every single week, and he was like, you're gonna miss the meetings. If you're not on the appointed times of the Jewish things, you're doomed. You're gonna be out there keeping your own appointed times, and Messiah's gonna come, you're gonna miss the entire thing. And I don't see that as something that is scriptural. I get it that we could completely be on the wrong calendar, we could be on the wrong date, but are we going to be judged because we're out here attempting to keep commandments to the best of our understanding and we didn't get the exact date right 6,000 years later? Are we doomed because of our attempt? I don't see anything like that in the scriptures. I don't see anything like that. In fact, it looks completely opposite. And I think we're going to get a high five and a pat on the back for giving it a college try and going to the very best of our understanding. Because the other side of this is you have the people that don't care about the appointed times. They don't care about the Shabbats. They don't care about anything. And so at least we're giving it a try to the very best of our understanding. So as people who are out there with Torah, I would encourage everybody not to chuck axes at people with a different understanding. It's just, it doesn't do any good because you can't, unless somebody can definitely prove on their life, the calendar, I don't know where to go from there. Okay, continuing on. Let's roll it. Where do we at, fellas?
Hold on, you do have a question.
What do we got?
Not about that though.
All right.
It says, does not cursing the ruler of the people mean not cursing the president? That's from Richie.
So number one is who's the ruler of the people? Just like that's the thing is, if you're living in North America, you guys are, I mean, it doesn't matter where you're living at. None of us have hand selected the people that are leading this thing. And if you are not standing up for the evil that is going on, guys, Donald Trump has done some enormously evil stuff in his time. He is not somebody that you would want to fall on a sword for and say, this guy is going to take us into something great. You have a little fella, his name is Elon Musk, and you have Donald Trump, and Elon's dressed up in this black witchcraft outfit. They all have mega, which is a satanic level in witchcraft, all over their stuff. Everybody's sitting there, mega, 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 right? We're running witchcraft. We're running the occult right before our eyes. And so if you're sitting there giving your support to somebody who's really not your president, right? Our president is Messiah Yahushua. That is who our president and king is. It has nothing to do with these worldly people. Look, free men don't vote. If you think that you have to vote to make your voice known, understand that the voting process is completely rigged. It doesn't matter which side it is. And so free men don't vote. We vote for our kingdom. And how do we vote for our kingdom? By obeying the commands of our Creator. That's how we get our vote in. That's how we get noticed in the kingdom to come. Are we obedient or are we not? So as far as supporting these satanic, demonic demons that are running all amok, that are taking the world into a living hell, I wouldn't support any of them. I wouldn't clap them on the hand. I wouldn't say good job. I wouldn't say anything. Hopefully they disappear from our sight very, very soon. That's where I have on that. So yeah, it's a selection. It's not an election. And you're not. I mean, these people are demons. And I mean, if you have a choice of either supporting a demon or not supporting a demon, well, you should not support anything, right? Why would you ever support something that is satanic agenda? And so I would say we are at the end of time where none of us should be supporting any of these worldly demons that are absolutely, without a shadow of a doubt, Antichrist candidates, without a shadow of a doubt. Okay, let us roll on here. Anyone? Do you know where it's at? Anyone?
I think do not kill your goat in his mother's milk.
Yep.
Okay.
Obey the messenger Yahuwah sends before you.
Do not bow down to other Elohim.
Serve Yahuwah.
Make no covenant with other Elohim or outsiders of the land.
Do not make or use anointing oil on a normal person. Do not make use perfume on a normal person. Do not eat the fat.
Do what you say you are going to do.
Return what is your neighbor's.
Obey Yahuwah's dietary laws.
Women's time of separation. Obey Yahuwah's hygiene laws.
Keep the Day of Atonement. Yom HaKippurim.
Do not uncover the nakedness of your family. Do not take your woman's sister for wife.
Do not lie with a woman in her uncleanness.
And I want to go back to that little thing about supporting the ruler of your people. This was a commandment that was way back in the days. The ruler of our people should have been Torah observant. They should be walking under the hand of our Creator in the same way. We have all of these people that don't care about the Torah. They don't care about eternity. They don't care about anything other than making their their life great again, or some kind of garbage like this. And so that commandment in of itself, that we are not to attack the ruler of our people, this is understanding that we are in a Torah-based community where our leaders are Torah-based, right? And if we would put any of the leaders under the effects of the Torah of today's base, we kill them all. Every single one of them. Think about Trump and all his adultery and all of his naked women and all that nastiness right there. He'd be dead, right? Elon would be dead. They'd all be dead because we would have taken him outside the city gates and killed him. That's the way it would have gone down. Okay, continuing on.
The daughter of Abraham has a question.
All
What
right.
about Romans 13:1 in regards to our leaders?
Anyone read Romans 13:1? Let's see. All right, so we're rolling into 13:1.
Paul said.
Yeah, I know. Paul said. Here we are.
Here you
What does it say?
Let every being be in subjection to the governing authorities, for there is no authority except from Elohim, and the authorities that exist are appointed by Elohim.
Okay, so here's the thing, right? If you think that Donald Trump is appointed by the hand of our Creator, the hand of our Creator is allowing things to happen, right? We are at the end of times. There is. If you guys read anything in Revelation, say Revelation 13, right, where it talks about the Antichrist, and it talks about a guy who sustained a mortal wound and was healed, and all the people were like, "Wow!" Now, if you guys can remember, there was a hoax that happened where the Donald jumped in front of a podium, and the entire world thought this guy got shot.
You better be careful.
Yeah, I gotta be. Is this kickoff material?
Not yet, but it might be. I don't
Okay,
know.
so you have an entire world that goes, wow, look at this this is an amazing dude. This guy got killed. He almost got shot. In fact, people even say Donald died for the sins of the Americans. He almost died. That's what I've seen people say. And so as we are talking about governing authorities, we're not talking about authorities that are under the hand of Elohim or have even been selected. Trust me, Elohim is letting all of this happen because it has to happen. But as far as being subjected to the people, if you guys are out there subjecting yourselves to demons, then you're under demon control. That's the people of Yah. We don't have a government like this. We have a government of Elohim. We have a Torah-based system, and those are the laws that we keep as individuals. When things cross those lines, then we don't do it. But as far as being taking a letter from Paul and subjecting yourself to a demonic authority, a group of people. I mean, look at the advice of this government. Look what they wanted you guys to do since 2020. Look at what the agenda is. Look at what the whole point of everything at 2020 was to do to the world. So I'm going to end at that before I get nailed out. Okay, continuing on. Anyone else?
No.
Who said he died for our sins? Everybody on Twitter. There were Twitter memes. There was everybody out there. You see Trump. I mean, it's a huge thing. So there are literally people that believe Donald Trump is the savior of North America, and the people of Israel, they have a coin, and they say that Donald Trump is their Messiah. So if you guys are looking for like end time signs or things that are like, whoa, this sounds kind of, we've heard this. We have heard this. It's the same thing that's been happening. So hey, continue on.
You shall not sacrifice your children to Moloch.
Do not be a sodomite.
Be Kodesh.
Do not reap the corners of your field, or you shall not glean your vineyard.
Do not deal falsely or defraud your neighbor.
Do not lie or be a liar.
Pay your workers the day's wage they are due.
Do not harm the disabled. Do not endanger your neighbor.
Do not hate your brother.
Rebuke your neighbor for his sin. Love your neighbor as yourself.
Do not diverse your cattle.
Do not mingle your seed. Do not mingle within a wool.
Do not lie with a taken woman.
Do not eat the fruit of the trees for 3 years. Do not practice sorcery.
Do not round your beard or the corners of your head.
Do not cut yourself for the dead. Do not get tattoos.
Do not prostitute your daughter.
Do not defile your temple. Do not consult the medium.
Respect your elders.
Have correct weights and measures. Do not walk in the manners of the nation.
To keep the feast of first fruits, Shavuot, on recount Pentecost.
Keep the feast of trumpets, Yom Teruah. Keep the feast of Sukkot, Shemini Atzeret.
If you blaspheme the name of Yahuwah, you shall be put to death.
If you kill an nearest animal, you must give another. Repay injury for injury.
Honor the Yobel, Jubilee year.
Confess your sins to Yahuwah and repay who have trespassed against. The law of being an Nazir.
Wear zizi on the four corners of your garments.
The Torah of whoever touches a corpse. Follow Yahuwah's law of inheritance.
Torah of keeping your oath to Yahuwah.
Do not add or take away from the word.
Guard your soul.
Learn to fear Yahuwah.
To love Yahuwah with all your heart. Bind the laws upon your hand and the frontlets between your eyes. Write the laws on your doorposts. Do not tempt Yahuwah.
Do what is right and good in the sight of Yahuwah.
Do not be afraid of your enemies. Remember Yahuwah.
Circumcise your heart.
Cleave to Yahuwah. Swear by his name.
Destroy graven images.
Do not make an idol of Yahuwah as the pagans do to their Elohim. Rejoice in all Yahuwah has blessed you with.
Do not do what is right in your own eyes.
Do not hearken to the words of the false prophets.
Do not make any baldness between your eyes for the dead.
You shall not eat any abominable thing.
You shall give to a stranger a clean food that died of itself, but you shall not eat of it.
Give tithe of your increase of seed year by year.
Laws of the end of the 7-year release.
Do not borrow from the nations.
Do not harden your heart, nor shut your hand from the poor.
Guard month 1 of Yahuwah's calendar.
3 times a year all males shall appear before Yahuwah.
You shall make judges and officers in all your gates.
Do not plant Asherah poles near the altar.
There must be 2 or 3 witnesses.
Hearken unto the prophet Yahuwah has chosen.
Prophetess of Deuteronomy.
Do not remove your neighbor's property line.
How to deal with a false witness among Torah keepers.
The first child is due double portions.
If your brother's cattle or clothes are lost and you find them, you must return them.
A woman should not wear what pertains to a man, nor a man wear what pertains to a woman.
If you find a bird's nest with the mother and the babies, or eggs, take the babies, but not the mother.
If you build a new house with a flat roof that they will be lived on, you must put a railing around it.
Do not be a prostitute.
Do not use dirty money.
The law of divorce.
Do not take a person's millstone for a pledge.
If you lend to your brother, do not enter his house to get your payment. He must bring it to you. Return his clothing before sunset if that was his pledge.
Do not oppress a hired servant that is poor and needy.
Every man should be put to death for his own sin.
Do not go back for God's sheep in the field. Leave for the stranger, fatherless, and widow.
Do not muzzle your ox when he treads out grain.
If your brother dies and has no child, you should take his wife and name the firstborn after your brother.
At the end of 7 years, you are to read the Torah at the Feast of Sukkot.
Okay. All right. So here we are. That who rejected Yah and his laws has been on her own since 19. Has been all kinds of witchcraft and pagan practices. So this is from King G. What would you do if you had a 44-year-old daughter who rejected Yah and his laws? Has been on her own since 19. Has been in all kinds of witchcraft and pagan practices. Now needs help. I guess it all depends on exactly what the now needs help is. Number one is that's a long time. That's a long time from 19 to 44. There's going to be a lot of unclean spirits, a lot of unclean stuff. And so I guess the question is how can you? I mean, now needs help. I mean, what are we talking? Like a phone call? Are we talking like they need to come live with you or something of the sort? Okay, she's homeless and without money. Well, that's one of these things that they're very, very, very hard things to do and to understand. There's a lot of things. I mean, I can't really answer something like that unless you've sat down and talked to her. And is she at the end of her road? Is she seen where her lifestyle and the world that she has led her to? Is she looking for something different? Is she still rejecting the kingdom? Is she studying her scriptures? Is there any change? If you take her in, is she still going to be doing pagan stuff? I mean, there's a lot of things here. One of the things that I would always advise is to do everything you can in love. And love doesn't always mean bailing the person out. Love means making sure that they are able to survive. And sometimes it's really, really hard. There's a lot of questions into the stuff. You would have to sit down. You just have to talk. You'd have to talk and figure out where she's at. I mean, some people that have lived their entire lives, I mean, from 19 to 44, that's like 30 years, right? Or like 20 some years. They're at the end of the road, right? They've seen where that road has led them. They see that, all of their attempts, all this world. And sometimes the people that are in that kind of a world can come out and they can serve Yah stronger than anybody else because they have seen that opposing side. They have seen that darkness. They have seen stuff that just us normal folks wouldn't dabble in, right? We'd be too scared to even mess around with stuff like that. So there's a lot of things that you would have to talk. You'd have to talk to her and find out. I mean, I would say never neglect the kids, but again, I'm not in that position, so I don't know if I'm qualified to actually help with that. But I would definitely sit down with her and give her some love and see where she's doing. Taking my knowledge, though, she's saying she's wanting for God to show her the next steps. So, King G, sis, I think it's a sis, or I don't know if it's a guy. If it's a guy, I would sit with her and I would read scriptures. I mean, if this is something that she's going to be moving back in with you, if you don't, as a person right now, read scriptures daily, this is always the new beginnings, right? This is always where you guys can read your scriptures together as a brand new family and figure out where it's going to be. And she might just be down on her luck. It might just be a moment in time where she's looking for a little bit of something different, and she may never change. But until we give people an attempt to actually get to that point, we'll never know. And so I don't think there's ever a person that's like gone, beyond gone. I think there's always hope, and I think our Creator does things. And this may be the hand of our Creator. This may be the hand of our Creator returning her to Him. And so I would do everything you do in love and wisdom is how I would run this. Okay. All right, let's roll into this. Numbers 11 is where we are at. Jaden, give me a breakdown of where we are at, please.
So we are now we're traveling through the desert. We have learned last week that we had 2 silver trumpets. The Levites would blow them when it was time for the camps to move. And depending on the way they blew them, some tribes leave, some would stay, or they would go to war, or it's time for them to move, or it's an appointed time. So we are now moving out throughout the land, and Yahuwah is guiding them with a cloud and fire.
Yeah, and so this is the time when our Creator is very, very close to His people. A lot of people don't understand the entire sacrifice system. A lot of people don't get it. The sacrifice system that we were under was so that our Creator would walk with us in a pillar, a cloud by day, fire by night, and that He was literally physically amongst us, and that the people weren't consumed, right? They wouldn't be consumed, because if we did not have a way to atone for our sins and we had our Creator come and hang out with us, it would be a major problem, because we're all very, very dirty. And so this is the point where our Creator is hanging out and being among the people. And if you're looking at what the heart, mind, and soul of our Creator is like, this is a physical form of Him right here. Okay, let's continue on. Here we go. And it came to be, when the people were as complainers, it was evil in the ears of Yahuwah. And Yahuwah heard it, and His displeasure burned. And the fire of Yahuwah burned among them and consumed those in the outskirts of the camp. Okay, so there's a big thing, right? Things are happening.
Yahuwah's giving these people everything, and they complain. So He gives them food, He gives them freedom, He's going to give them their own land, and they complain about absolutely everything.
Hold on. Daughter of Abraham is looking...
So let's back up further.
Okay, what was the question?
He says, in regards to Tobit, please explains how Sarah was selected from the beginning as Tobit's wife. Does that mean that all spouses are selected from the beginning? Also, if Sarah said no, would Tobit be given another spouse?
Well, his wife, that was like what, marriage number
7?
7? So this chick, Sarah, she didn't have any choice on this to begin with. Her parents kept giving the people that they thought were the right people, and they kept dying off. So here's the thing, is the answer is yes. Everything that happens has been known and probably predestined and preordained to happen, right? Say, for instance, you and I and all of us that are sitting right here, right now around this table, if I had not rolled in on a little prison bus to my wife some 7 years ago and got off that prison bus in front of her where she was a receptionist at an internet service provider, then you and I today would never be talking, right? How was it possible that of all these places that I ever got popped off to, I got jumped off at the place that my soulmate was sitting there working, right? I went through prison. I went through some hell. I went through some stuff that you guys would be just, it would upset all of you guys, the life in prison. And so how did this come to be? I got married the first time, and that obviously didn't happen right? There was all sorts of things. So, but all those things I did on my own volition, all the way to the point where my little prison bus dropped me off in front of the place that I was supposed to go. So is it preordained? Is it predestined? I think so. I mean, everything that we have done, had I not been dropped off there, Yah Scriptures wouldn't be here. The Yah Scriptures would still be grifting everybody, which they do continually. There would have been no stop to anything. And all of these prisoners that are getting Scriptures all the time, that are getting Scriptures now, it would have not happened. if I've not been dropped off there. So as far as things being ordained, yeah, I think the hand of our Creator has things planned out for generations and generations and generations, probably for all time, which is incredible. When you think about love like that, when you think about plan making like that, to where you have been involved in a plan that if you execute this right, then you're part of the plan that our Creator had done to get us where we want. And sometimes we make really bad decisions. Sometimes there's a whole bunch of bad things that happen to us to get us on the right path. That's what all these guys in prison, I talk to them all the time. And there's not a single one of them that would ever have gone back to that same moment at that same time of the crime that they committed and would have redone that if they could ever go back to it, right? But everything that our Creator, including these appointed times when I hang out with these prisoners, to where they're giving their hearts, minds, and souls to our Creator, to where they fall on their knees, to where they start making tzitzits in prisons in the most corrupt, vile, cruel world of all, it has all been ordained. I believe everything, us sitting here speaking today, has been an appointed time that our Creator has wanted us to be for hundreds, if not thousands of years. And so, yes, I believe everything is his way, his fruition. Does it always go how He planned us to do? Do we have to end up on a prison bus and be dropped off in front of our new-to-be wife to make this happen? Sometimes, because I definitely wasn't on the right road. I definitely would have never been in the side of the state where I was, where I met my wife. Everything happened for a reason. Okay, continuing on. I went off in the rabbit hole on that one. Okay, 2. And the people cried out to Moshe, and Moshe prayed to Yahuwah, and the fire died down. Okay, what do you guys think that looked like? You know, does you think like they started combusting?
I don't think
spontaneous combustion.
I think they got surrounded by a fire, like a wildfire took them.
I think the wildfire
and
took
burned
them?
up a whole bunch of them. Yeah,
Okay.
it was probably surrounded the camp, and they couldn't really get out. So this is why they had to go to Moshe, because if they could run away, they would have, but they couldn't.
It didn't look like the people in a microwave, like a CD in a microwave or something?
Yeah, probably something like
Popping
that.
like that?
Yeah,
Okay.
I would assume. Yeah.
Okay, 3.
Popcorn.
Yeah, popcorn. Then he called the name of the place Tabernacle, because the fire of Yahuwah had burned among them. And the mixed multitude who were in their midst lusted greatly. So the children of Israel also wept again and said, "Who is giving us meat to eat?" Okay, there's a lot of stuff here. Mixed multitude is one of these words. Hit it, Jake.
Yeah, they're complaining again. You know, they already have food that rains down from heaven every single day,
Yeah.
and they need more.
Yeah. So the mixed multitude is one of these things that we are in yet more deception of this world, to where you have white folks who think they are the chosen ones because they are white. You have the black folks who are what they call I call them the angry Hebrew Jewish guys. They think the white people are absolutely not part of it. You have all of these different colors of people, and the thing is, everybody seems to be really, really colorblind when it comes down to color, when it comes down to scriptures, because we have the mixed multitude. The mixed multitude came out of Egypt along with the people. For those who do not know what the mixed multitude is, we're talking red, green, blue, yellow, whatever color people that have ever been out there. That's the mixed multitude. And so for those who say that you have to be Jewish born, or you have to be a bloodline, you have to be something like that, that wasn't the case, because you had 600,000 to 1 million mixed multitude people that came out of Egypt at that time. And how do you become a child of Israel? Well, you become a child of Israel by keeping the laws, statutes, and commandments. You go into their government system, and you decide that it's a good government system, and that's how you become a child of Yisrael.
Look at one of the greatest people of this time, Caleb. He was part of the grafting in. He became part of Judah, but he wasn't originally from Judah.
You have Ruth. You have Ruth, who was absolutely not part of a bloodline of the people, and she became a mother of eventually the lineage of our Messiah. So continuing on, you had these people, a mixed multitude, people of all colors that were very angry that they didn't get the stuff that they got out of Egypt, and so they're getting mad. 5, we remember the fish which we ate without cost in Mitzrayim, the cucumbers and the melons and the leeks and the onions and the garlic, but now our life is dried up. There's not to look at but this manna. All right, well, let's talk about this. Now, why were they getting free fish in Mitzrayim?
Because they were slaves. I mean, they weren't making money. They were getting beat every single day to build bricks.
And you can call it what you want. You can call it slavery. I mean, but at the end of the day, they got a house and they got food, right? And some people are like, you know what? We kind of like slavery. We had some stuff. It didn't cost us anything. And yes, it didn't cost them anything because they were slaves. That was their job, is to work. 7, now the manna was like coriander seed, and its appearance like the appearance of bdellium. The people went about and gathered it, ground it on millstones, or beat it in the mortar and cooked it in a pot and made cakes of it. and his taste was as the taste of cakes baked with oil. Okay, so my question to you guys, all of you out there and here at this table, is would we have done this any better? Would we have been here? Would we have been part of this mixed multitude, or would we be okay with this manna as it is?
Okay, so if we had just seen everyone complain and get burned up for complaining, I don't think we complain again. You know, like you complain, it's gonna be a long time before you ever forget everyone's got burned up for complaining. So yeah, I don't think I would be complaining if everyone's got burned up.
Yeah. Just reading the chat here.
We were talking about Solomon.
Yep. And Solomon, one of the greatest necromancers, one of the greatest magicians, one of the greatest wizards, probably the greatest wizard that was ever been known. Probably second to Nimrod. I would imagine Nimrod was a little bit better on his echelon, but Solomon definitely made the greatest evil that could possibly be done. Somebody grab the dog at the door. Okay, continuing on. And when the dew fell on the camp at night, the manna fell on it. And Moshe heard the people weeping throughout their clans, each man at the door of his tent, and the displeasure of Yahuwah burned exceedingly. And in the eyes of Moshe, it was evil. So Moshe said to Yahuwah, why have you done evil to your servant? And why have I not found favor in your eyes to put the burden of all these people on me? So this is a tough thing, right? Tough thing on this whole thing is Moshe, he's like, why did you do this to me, Yah? Why have you given me more than I can deal with? His own problems, but he also had to deal with all of these people complaining. And these people were very good complainers and very good moaners. And this is why it is one of these things that we see these stories, and our objective needs to be that we understand and learn from them, and that we do not repeat them in the 6,000th year that we are in, right? We are 4,000 years later than these times in here, maybe almost 5. And are we complaining with what we have? Do we have bags and bags of lentils, but we're tired of the bags and bags of lentils and we want something else, right? And there have literally been times in our life, in the year 2020, we couldn't afford food. Our fridges were completely empty. Everything was empty. I don't think there was anybody with jobs here. All we had were lentils, but we had a lot of lentils, right? And for anybody who has bags of lentils, they get old after a while, but they still sustained us and they were still good food. And so we need to make sure that we do not carry on these same traditions that they have. And so Moshe is still complaining here about his people complaining. 12, was it I who conceived all these people? Was it I who brought them forth? That you should say to me, carry them in your bosom, as the foster father carries a nursing child to the land which you swore to their fathers? Where am I to get meat to give to all these people? For they weep before me, saying, give us meat to eat. I am unable to bear all these people alone, because the burden is too heavy for me. And if you are doing this to me, please slay me altogether, if I have found favor in your eyes, and let me not see my evil. So you understand, Moshe is very, very frustrated guy here, right? I think I think Messiah was probably the only other guy that could have very much been as frustrated as Moshe, because Messiah went around and he was able to see all these people and all the people that couldn't get it and all the people couldn't find him, and everybody challenging him, everybody attacking him, to the point they string Messiah up and kill him, right? So we have Moshe, who's kind of the starter of this entire thing, and he's having a really bad time right here. Continuing on 16. Then Yahuwah said to Moshe, gather to me 70 men of the elders of Yisrael, whom you know to be the elders of the people and officers over them, and bring them to the tent of appointment, and let them stand there before you. And I shall come down to speak with you there, and shall take of the Ruach that is on you, and put on them. And they shall bear the burden of the people with you, so that you do not bear it yourself alone. And you say to the people, kadosh yourselves for tomorrow, and you shall eat meat, because you have wept in the hearing of Yahuwah, saying, who is giving us meat to eat? For it was well with us in Mitzrayim. And Yahuwah shall give you meat, and you shall eat. You're not going to eat, not 1 day, not 2 days, nor 5 days, nor 10 days, nor 20 days, but for a month of days, until it comes out of your nostrils and becomes an abomination to you. because you have rejected Yahuwah who is among you, and have wept before him, saying, why did we come up out of Mitzrayim? So there's one thing that I would like to bring back to the days of the lentils, to where we didn't have any money, we didn't have any food, we didn't have any jobs. And the days of the lentils were very interesting stuff, because a simple bag of lentils, for those who do not know, you can create a ton of stuff out of a bag of lentils. You can grind the lentils up, and you can actually bake bread out of the lentils. You can cook them up, and you can basically, I don't know, what's that thing called? The thing that spins the lentils around to the soup?
My immersion.
Immersion. There's a thing called an immersion blender. For anybody that's in the kitchen, that dudes probably don't know what that is, but it's like this, it's just like 7-8 inch like thing with blades at the end of it, and you stick it down in there. So lentils, and I would say the same stuff would be the same for manna, is you would be able to make this into a tremendous amount of things. And that's one thing that we did learn from basically having bags of lentils and no other food to eat, is that we could make a lot of stuff out of lentils. And I would imagine they could do a lot of this as well. Okay, now let us get into 21. And Moshe said, the people in whose midst I am are 600,000 men on foot, and you have said, I give them meat to eat for a month of days. Could flocks and herds be slaughtered for them, to be sufficient for them? Or could all the fish of the sea be gathered together for them, to be sufficient for them? And Yahuwah said to Moshe, is the arm of Yahuwah too short? Now see whether my word meets you or not. And Moshe went out and spoke to the people the words of Yahuwah, and he gathered the 70 men of the elders of the people and stood them around the tent. And Yahuwah came down in the cloud and spoke to him, and took of the ruach that was upon him, and placed the same upon the 70 elders. And it came to be, when the ruach rested upon them, that they nabu, but did not continue. So basically, these people start prophesying. However, 2 men had remained in the camp. The name of one was Eldad, and the name of the other Medad. And the ruach rested upon them. Now they were among those listed, but did not go out to the tent, and they nabu in the camp. And the young man ran and informed Moshe and said, Eldad and Medad, Nava in the camp. And Yahushua, Joshua, son of Nun, Moshe's assistant from his youth, answered and said, Moshe, my master, forbid them. Then Moshe said to him, are you jealous for my sake? Oh, that all the people of Yahuwah were Neviim, that Yahuwah would put his ruach upon them.
This is very similar to the story of Messiah we read not too long ago, where the disciples were upset someone else was teaching in the name of Yahuwah.
Yeah.
And Yahushua's power and stuff like that.
Yeah, just like this. All right, reading the thing. Oh, 20 pounds. Yeah. I lived off 20-pound bags of lentils and rice during all the COVID. Is that what we said, or is that what he said?
That's what he said.
He said he did that too? Richie James? Right on, bro. So did we, man. Yeah, it was good times. And guys, you can get lentils for dirt cheap. It's like the great. I didn't think we could stay alive on this stuff, but in fact, we were cooking this in our dog food as well. We were putting bags of lentils in the dog food because we couldn't afford our dog food either. So there's all sorts of crazy stuff about that. Yeah, it was good times. Definitely amazing. Okay, let's see. Where are we at, everyone?
30.
Okay. And Moshe returned the elders of Yisrael. And a wind went forth from Yahuwah, and it brought quickly, and let them fall beside the camp. About a day's journey on this side, and about a day's journey on the other side, all around the camp. And about 2 amma. Explain this one, Jade. 31. Why do you think that it was a day's journey from the camp?
Probably because they had to work for it, wanted to work for it or something.
Okay, when's the last time you guys saw like birds like all fly to the
Oh,
ground?
I know why. Because it smelled really bad. And
They-
the corpses and stuff, you have all birds flying around and you have all these issues with all these dead animals.
You would have death all around you. And so basically they took the slaughter about a day's camp away, a day's journey away from the camp. Continuing on, 32. And all the people were up all that day and all that night and all the next day and gathered the quail. He who had least gathered 10 comers, he who had least gathered 10 comers, which is a ton, and they spread them out for themselves all around the camp. The meat was still between their teeth before it was chewed, and the wrath of Yahuwah burned against the people, and Yahuwah smote the people with an exceedingly great plague. Then he called the name of that place Kibroth Ha-Ta'awa, because they were buried. There they buried the people who had lusted. From Kirboth Ha-Ta'awa, the people departed from from Katsaroth, and they were at Katsaroth. Okay.
Moral of the story: don't be greedy.
Moral of the story is don't be greedy. Now, how do we fix this in the current world that we are in right now, right? Is this about being happy and content with the world that we have and not begging and lusting for more and literally taking an example here? Because the people of Yisrael, they had plenty of food, right? If you were content with the lentils or you were content with the ability, because the manna, guys, you can make anything with the manna. It was just like flour. And so you would grind the manna up, you can make cakes, you can make bread, you can make all sorts of stuff. This was the base for all of this certain food that these guys could make up, but yet they were still unhappy with it. And the answer came in the form of death. The death from the birds, and then the death from the people that were part of this entire thing. And I would imagine the people that died of the Great Plague didn't die like in good condition.
Yeah.
Like it was probably a very, very bad thing. Okay, all right, so let's roll into this. Let's roll into our next reading. Let's see. Rick Johnson's quoting, I can't remember the book. It was the best of time. Oh, it was, what is that book? I'm getting really, really old. Charles Dickens. He's quoting Charles Dickens. It was the best of times. It was the worst of times. Yep. Absolutely. All right. So here we are, guys. We are into Mark. Jaden, give us a quick breakdown of what's up in.
We are in the pretty much middle of Yehoshua's ministry. He went up to the mountain for some time. He met with what the disciples describe as Elijah and Moses, and they were very bright figures. Yehoshua turned bright, and then they were in the days of Sukkot as well, so he asked if they wanted to make them tents and booths. And then out of heaven, they heard a voice that said, "This is my son, follow him." And they were pretty scared out of the whole thing. Then once they looked back up, it was just Yehoshua again, and he took them back down the mountain. Well, don't want to tell anybody about this until after he's risen. They were super confused on what that even meant. They really don't understand this yet, what he talks about when he says he's going to rise from the dead. They're still kind of confused, but they follow him because they know he is the son of Yahuwah. And then he teaches them parables and stuff, and he shows them how to cast out demons, because there's certain demons they were trying. The other disciples, while they were up on the mountain, the other ones were down below trying to fight these demons, and they couldn't win. Again, they were trying to save this kid, and Messiah said,
Why couldn't they fight the demons?
Because they weren't in prayer and fasting. They have to be able to cast these ones out. You had to do prayer and fasting. He goes, we tried like you taught us, and it didn't work. What did we do wrong? And Messiah told them what they did wrong. So there's certain demons you have to use lots of prayer and fasting to get rid of, because sometimes just casting them out doesn't work.
Yeah, that's what it was. Tell Two Cities too. That was the story. That was like the only thing I can actually remember from I think like 7th grade. And that's literally the only thing I can remember, those things. Okay, Mark 10. Here we go. And rising up from there, he came into the borders of Yehuda by the other side of the Yarden. This is Messiah. And crowds gathered to him again. And as he usually did, he was teaching them again. And Pharisees came and asked him, is it right for a man to put away his wife? Trying him. And he answering said to them, what did Moshe command you? And they said, Moshe allowed a man to write a certificate of separation and to divorce. And Yehoshua said to them, because of the hardness of your heart, he wrote you this command. However, from the beginning of creation, Elohim made them male and female. Adam and Eve, not Adam and Steve. For this cause a man shall leave his father and mother and join unto his wife. And the two shall become one flesh, so that they are no longer two, but one flesh. Therefore, what Elohim has joined together, let man not separate. Okay, so here's a big thing on, there's a lot of stuff, right? The divorce was not something that is natural, right? A decree from divorce that Moshe gave is a failure of love. It is a failure of compassion. It is a failure of two humans together that have failed the commitment of love. And when a marriage dies, the marriage dies because it's a lack of love. It means the compassion and the common ground and the understanding that everybody had is no longer there. And neither, or sometimes one, will not go back to the common understanding and this. And you know what I try to explain to those who are struggling in marriage is that same sweet gal or that same sweet guy that you knew from the very beginning is still there. There may have been some bumps, there are bruises, their marriages definitely take a lot of beatings throughout the years, but it's meant never to be divorced, even at the expense of any of this. Our Creator put us together, and the side of polygamy, and people get caught up on the entire polygamy thing a lot, because we still have a lot of these Torah keeping groups, and inside the group themselves they end up getting very, very corrupted, and for some reason it's just not enough to have a man and woman, but you have to bring in all of this excise stuff. And the problem is the polygamy thing wasn't exactly an answer to love. The polygamy thing was an answer to survivability and staying alive. If you don't understand what I'm saying, the kids of Jacob's came from 4 different women. Had he not had 4 different women, you would not have the 12 tribes of Israel like you have today. Now, he didn't have 4 different women because he decided that was going to be an exciting thing. He ended up with multiple wives because he got tricked, and everything was kind of against him from that entire point. And what you can see from that entire endeavor, where there were 4 wives, or essentially 2 wives and whatever, 2 concubines or whatever they want to call it, is there was always a problem internally. The women had a problem. The man definitely would have had a problem if the women had a problem. Polygamy is not a natural thing. It is not something that is going to bond a marriage. It's not going to bond a family. It's not going to raise giant, great families that are very, very strong, right? There was a time and there was a place for it. And if you want a marriage that is off the rails, it's with one man and one woman. And it is keeping that side of the fence completely watered. It is completely not letting you fall out of love. And that's what happens in marriage. It becomes the same old, and then pretty soon people get tired of each other, and the little things start to irritate them, things of that nature, and that's how it goes. And you guys just keep going worse and worse. Continuing on again. What do you got?
So Yehoshua said their hearts were hard back in those days. And you can see from what we just read, their hearts were in the completely wrong place.
Yeah.
They just watched all their friends and family burn up, and they still continued complaining.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, what do you got?
So there's 2 different things here.
All right, what do you got?
Richie James says, I don't think Yah would tempt David with evil and have him commit adultery, murder, then kill his first son conceived by Bathsheba, just so Solomon to be born.
Well, yeah, and I mean, I don't think that was. I mean, that was obviously a mistake on. That was David's gig, right? I mean, and part of that, it wasn't just that Solomon was born; it was that there was another kid, and the kid was killed, right? And so it wasn't just that Solomon was born; that there was a life that had to be taken to fix this mess, and it never ever fixed the mess. And I know everyone says David is a man after Yah's own heart. But at the same time, that entire event, it wasn't just about adultery. It was about murder. It was about deception. There was a ton of stuff that went down on that entire thing. So I don't know. I guess exactly. I don't know if that would be Yah's will. I don't know. I mean, however, the will of for Solomon to get where he was at the end of the day, Solomon wasn't a blessing for Yisrael. In fact, Solomon was a curse. It was under the hand of Solomon that everyone went into slavery. Everybody, the country split up. You went 10 tribes, and you had 2 tribes. You had Yehuda and you had Benjamin as 2 of the tribes, and you had the 10 tribes up north. All of this happened because Solomon was so evil. So it wasn't like Solomon was blessed or that Solomon was a blessing to people, because at the end of the day, Solomon did a tremendous amount of damage. In fact, like the Freemasonry themselves, where you have the Pillars of Solomon, they are all about it. So great evil has spawned up from the hand of Solomon. So I don't know if that answers that or if anything else, but what's the next one?
Next one's from daughter. In the heart of a spouse who wants to divorce, so they will not if Adonai appointed them together.
That's a hard question, right? Those are the questions that, how far deep down the troublesome marriage rabbit hole are you gone? I've met some couples, when you sit down with them, they literally will start daggering each other. The only reason that you're there is as a referee between the 2 of them, and they want to beat each other up. And those things are really, really hard, because when we get into marriage where the lines of communication are beyond where we can simply sit and have a chat, there's a lot of differences. I don't believe that any marriage that is in the hand of our Creator and the people are trying to strive to be in Torah and trying to be a delegate for the kingdom to come, that anything's impossible. I think there's a lot of things, and a lot of things can change. There's a tremendous amount of things where people are ready for divorce, and bad things can happen in their lives. Well, all of a sudden, it's like better to have that one person that is almost there than it is not to have anything at all. So I don't know. Yah can do whatever. He can, and prayer absolutely changes things. It absolutely shifts things. So if somebody wants a divorce, it's up to the hand of Yah, and it's a tough. Those are tough questions. All right, let's continue on. We have anything else here? Most people are not educated on the definition of love. Yeah, the grand. Sure, visible. Okay. You let David know he would soon have a son established in every relationship. That's why I brought this up. It was Yah's will for that to happen, just for Solomon to be born. Yeah, I don't know. If it wasn't for Solomon, then it would have been someone else, right? Somebody else's name. I mean, the hand of Yah is simply amazing, and how Yah does stuff is amazing as well. And if it's not Solomon, it would have been, Bobby or something. The next guy's name is Bobby. Okay, continuing on. Let's roll. I get caught up in this stuff. Okay.
I think you're on 10.
10. Okay. Mark 10. And in the house, his talmidim asked him about this again. And he said to them, whoever puts away his wife and marries another commits adultery against her. Huge stuff, guys. I've talked about this almost to a nauseam, but a lot of times we get more people in here. This is very, very important, right? Pornography. If you are into pornography, the simple act of pornography one time makes you an adulterer. It's the name for your wife. It doesn't matter that it's some virtual thing on a computer in some back dark room that you're committing this in. It is that you become an adulterer. Now, back in the days of this, they didn't have computers. They didn't have phones. You couldn't have gone and corrupted your soul in one internet search right there, right? So it's a lot different times back then. But what Messiah is saying is that when you put your wife away for divorce and she commits adultery with another man, that's on you. This comes down to that ripple effect that our Creator and His Son have very much told us about. In the book of the Nazarene, Messiah very much clearly says that just like throwing a pebble in water where the ripples will sit there and they will roll through, every single one of those ripples that your deed has touched and affected in your life or in somebody else's life, for as long as that ripple is rolling out, that's going to be on you. So we will have a lot of judgment for things that we probably don't even know that we should be judged for, because we have had the ripple effect. For our kids, women, everything that have been in our lives, that ripple effect that created things negatively in the future, it's going to come back to us. Judgment Day is going to be very interesting. Very interesting. Okay, continuing on. Was it 12, 13? And if a woman puts away her husband and marries another, she commits adultery. And they were bringing little children for him to touch them. But the talmidim were rebuking those who were bringing them. And when Yahushua saw it, he was much displeased and said to them, let the little children come to me, and do not forbid them, for of such is the reign of Elohim. We talk about this a lot. We talk about how is it possible that the reign of Elohim is like little children. Well, we're talking about the naivety of children. We're talking about the humbleness of children. We're talking about the little children that have not been corrupted with this world to where they are not this. We're looking for the understanding of what a little child, an uncorrupted little child, those are the ones who are going to be entering into the kingdom. That's what we need to be like. And taking them up in his arms, laying his hands on them, he baraked them, he blessed them. And as he was proceeding on the way, one came running and knelt before him and asked him, good teacher, what shall I do to inherit everlasting Kai? Okay, question. How do you inherit everlasting life? This is what all of us want to know, right? How do we do this? And in religion, you will have the Christians raise your hand. Mormons, raise your hand at 8 years old. They'll baptize you. You're on the way. You're a good little prophet now. You're going to be in this little, whatever it is, right? But how do we do it except based upon the words of our Messiah? And Yahushua said to him, why do you call me good? No one is good except one, Elohim. Okay, right here, this is a Trinity cannonball blasting thing, right? Somebody called him good, somebody called our Messiah good, And he's like, there's nobody good except Elohim. Now, what do you guys think? What would you make this? What would, if he was Elohim, what would this verse make our Messiah right here?
A liar.
A liar. Right. And our Messiah is not a liar, because he very clearly said nobody is good except for Elohim. So the Trinity is broken at every last point in Scriptures. It just does not exist. It only exists in the cult programming of the satanic religions that have lied to all of us and told us this garbage that came out of Catholicism. Continuing on, Messiah says this: you know the commands. Do not commit adultery. Do not murder. Do not steal. Do not bear false witness. Do not defraud. Respect your father and your mother. And he answered, he said to him, Teacher, all of these I have watched over from my youth. And Yahushua, looking back at him, loved him and said to him, One you lack. Go sell all you possess and give it to the poor, and you shall have treasure in the Shamaim. And come, follow me, taking up the stake. Okay, these are tough words, right? This is not something that is assigned to every single one of us. What do I mean by this? Listen, if a lot of us sold everything we had immediately and went and started walking the streets and preaching about Messiah, we would have a wife and a family, and all of a sudden the wife and family would have no father, right? All of a sudden you'd be taking care of old people in a house, right? Okay, I'm going to sell everything I have, and all of a sudden dad can no longer eat because you're not there to feed him. It is not the discipleship is not about simply selling all you have and walking through. And a lot of people take these words out of context, and they will literally sell everything they have, and then they will go. You look at the missionaries that come out of the Christian church, right? All of these guys, they go and especially the Mormons. The Mormons have these 2-year missions where they go and they will take you and send you off to a foreign country and have you sit there and convert people into Mormonism. What you're doing is you're out there collecting 10% from everybody you can convert. Every single person you can convert becomes a financial asset for the so-called church. So that's not what this is about. This is not about doing this, but for this individual, this particular guy that thought he was ready to serve his Messiah, this is what Messiah said. 22. But he, the man, being sad at this word, went away grieved, for he had many possessions. And this is the thing that our Messiah talks about. It's easier for a rich camel to get through the eye of the door of Jerusalem than it is for a rich man to enter into the kingdom. It always comes down to possessions. It always has to come down to this credit score of the world, where we're always trying to make our world the best possible place that we can be. And we're forgetting that we have a day of judgment. We have a day of appointment. We have the last breath that we have right here. And if our credit sucks, at that point, it's going to be, depart from me, you who work lawlessness, you who are not part of the kingdom to come. Continuing on. 24, and the Talmidim, his disciples, were astonished at his words. And Yahushua responding said to them, Children, how hard is it for those who trust in riches to enter into the reign of the Elohim? Okay, a spoiler alert, I already rolled this one. It is easier for a camel to enter through the eye of a needle than it is for a rich man to enter into the reign of Elohim. And a lot of the different translations have this verse completely botched, right? They will have it's easier for a camel to enter through the eye of a needle. And the eye of the needle, what we're talking about right here is we're talking about a little itty bitty tiny door that was in Jerusalem, and it's called the eye of the needle. And a man has to stoop down to get in it. It is something for a single individual, and people that are trying to come in through the city, you literally had to get your camel on his knees, and you had to drag them through this little itty bitty tiny eye just to get into the city. It's nearly impossible to get a camel through the eye of the needle.
Basically, it's saying you can't make it through the gate with all your stuff.
Yeah, you can't make it through. You have to get rid of all your stuff, and you're gonna have to walk in without your camel, without all your stuff.
The only thing you can take is yourself.
Absolutely. Very good point. Okay, 26. And they were immeasurably astonished, saying among themselves, Who then is able to be saved? And looking at them, Yahushua said, With men it is impossible, but not with Elohim. For with Elohim all is possible. Now, let's talk about this real quick, because you have 400,000 different religions. Well, you have, I don't know if you have that many, but I think you actually do. There's 40,000 of Christianity just in of itself. So you have all of these religions, and what is the one thing about every single one of these religions?
Money.
Man. right? They've all been invented by man. Some man somewhere has said, this is how I interpret these scriptures. And if you want to interpret the scriptures as I interpret the scriptures, then you join, you become a Baptist. You join and become a Catholic. You join and become a Muslim. You join and become whatever it is. But at the end of the day, there's always traditions of men. Excuse me. You have something? Mr. Cole?
Obi Lines, you want to know? Do Mormons believe that Yahushua visited the Americas or that it all took place over there?
Ooh, I don't know. I don't know exactly what they believe as far as that goes. Yeah, and as far as the deity of Yahushua himself, they have that very much confused in all of that stuff. Yeah, I don't know what they believe as far as Messiah Yahushua goes. I don't believe they think he's the actual son.
It's same. I think it's similar to Jehovah's Witness, where they think Michael or something.
Yeah, well, it's Michael's different. That's definitely Jehovah's Witnesses. But I believe that it's a lot like Muslims, right? They think that Messiah is just a good guy, a good prophet, or something of the sort. But I don't know that. So continue on. Where are we at? Anyone?
28.
28. So I think we should talk real quick about that. 27. With men it is impossible, right? So right there, Messiah says that all these man-made religions is not possible. We're not going to figure this out. How do we do this? Well, we need to figure out what Elohim's ways for us are. How do we know what Elohim's ways are for us? Well, we read the scriptures. We read Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy, and we learn how we're supposed to act and how we're supposed to operate. When we get under that operation and we're that kind of people, it's totally possible. 28. And Kepha began to say to him, see, we have left all and we have followed you. Yahushua said, truly I say to you, there is no one who has left house or brothers or sisters or father or mother or wife or children or lands for the sake of me and the good news, who shall not receive 100-fold now in this time, houses and brothers and sisters and mothers and children and lands with persecutions, and in the age to come, everlasting Kai. Somebody want to break that down?
So basically saying you will be blessed. You'll find a lot of people like you, and you'll have brothers and sisters and mothers and all that stuff, but you also have persecutions in this time and in basically our time now, which is the age to come is our time, but we also have everlasting life.
So what this verse looked like to me is that you're not going to receive 100-fold amazing life right now in this time, right? We're here for persecutions. We're here for testing. We're here to see if we are loyal enough candidates to make it into the kingdom to come. And if we are, that is where we will have amazing stuff in the life to come. But we got to make it through these tests. We got to make it through this first. 31. But many who are first shall be last, and the last first. And they were on the way, going up to Jerusalem, and Yahushua was going before them, and they were astonished. And those who followed were afraid. And again he took the 12 aside and began to say to them, what was about to befall him? See, and he's explaining this. See, we are going up to Jerusalem, and the son of Adam, the Ben of Adam, shall be delivered to the chief Kohanim and to the scribes, and they shall condemn him to death and shall deliver him to the Gentiles. And they shall mock him and flog him and spit on him and kill him. And the third day he shall rise again. Now here's a big thing in this that I take away from this particular verse, is that Messiah talks about being delivered to a certain group of people, the Gentiles. Now you have a higher set of religious people that are happy Gentiles. They label themselves Gentiles. The Christians are like, oh, we're Gentiles. We are good Gentiles and blah, 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 blah. Guys, there's no place in scriptures that Gentiles make the kingdom, right? There's no Jew and there's no Gentile in our Creator. There is a way. There's one Torah for the stranger. There's one Torah for all of us who are local. It is the exact same Torah. And so if you are a good Gentile, guys, there's no such thing as good Gentile. That means you are out of covenant. You don't want to be a Gentile. We don't want to die as Gentiles, guys. Gentiles are not saved. There's no such thing. So Messiah just gave him exactly what was happening here. 35. And Yaakov and Yochanan, the sons of Zabdi, came up to him saying, Teacher, we want you to do for us whatever we ask. And he said to them, what do you want me to do for you? And they said to him, grant us to be seated in your esteem, one on your right hand and the other on your left. But Yahushua said to them, you do not know what you ask. Are you able to drink the cup that I drink and be immersed with the immersion that I am immersed with? And they said to him, we are able. And Yahushua said to them, You shall indeed drink the cup that I drink, and with the immersion I am immersed with, you shall be immersed. But to sit on my right hand and on my left is not mine to give, but it is for those for whom it has been prepared. Okay, Messiah says that he does not have the ability to give people a right hand or a left hand when it talks about his thing. If he can't do it, who can?
Yahuwah.
Yeah, Yahuwah, his dad, right?
The one who's more powerful than him.
And you will have the Trinitarian people, and they're like, you'll explain that it talks about Messiah sitting on the right hand of his dad, and they can't get past. They will look at you in confusion and go, yeah, it's the same individual. He's just split, and he's just hanging out 1 and 3 and all that kind of gig, right? There is no such Trinity in Scriptures. It does not exist. And now let's talk about this. Why do you guys think that these guys are trying to sit on the right hand and left hand? How did this conversation come up?
Well, let's start with the first and the last. I mean, we're talking about him getting killed.
Right.
And these guys are like, we want to sit on your right. They want to be great. They want to be great in the kingdom. So I don't know. I think they want to be last. They think they're last now or something. So they think they'll be first at the end.
Yeah, and so it's interesting. The Messiah says that, yeah, you're going to drink the cup I drink with. You're going to be immersed with what I'm immersed with. And they don't get it, right? He just told them they were going to be handed over to the scribes. He was going to be tortured to death. He was going to rise up. And they're like, hey, can we sit on the left, right? He's like, well, you are going to get that cup I drink. You're going to get immersed.
It's a crazier quest that you want to be like as great as him, like sit next to him on the throne. That's something
It's tough.
I don't think most people would even ask for.
It's tough, but there were at least 2 of these guys that were doing it. Okay, 41. And when the 10 heard it, they began to be sorely displeased with Jacob and Yochanan. And Yahushua, calling them near, said to them, you know that those who think to rule the Gentiles are masters over them, and their great ones exercise authority over them. But it is not so among you. But whoever wants to become great among you shall be your servant. And whoever wants to be first among you shall be servant of all. Now, this is just amazing words that our Messiah has. And I will tell you in a leadership standpoint, when there's anybody out there that's trying to lead other people, the greatest of the leaders have always been the greatest of the servants. If you try to take, and this happened to us when I was working at Google, you would have hundreds of us that were all deep down techs, geeked out guys. I mean, we literally live zeros and ones, and we're just so geeked out. And then they bring some manager in from Microsoft who is a manager. He could barely turn his computer on. He can barely even operate a computer system. And then he's like, that's our boss, right? This is your new boss. This guy that is a tool that has no idea about any of this other stuff like this. And you just wonder what it was. Now, the greatest of all the managers inside of Google were the people that got promoted up through the ranks. The people that were the servants that would sit out there in the data centers, would bleed for the computer systems, and then eventually would go up into the same ranks. Because you can't lead unless you can follow. And that is the same for all of us. It doesn't matter if it's the kingdom. It matters that if we are not serving our fellow mankind right now, we're never going to make leaders in the kingdom. We may never even make the kingdom if we're not willing to be courageous enough to go out there and let people know about the kingdom, right? And so we need to be the servants. We need to be those that are out there in the trenches, getting with the people, getting condemned, getting people laughing at us, getting them hating us, being the people who are willing to speak out. Because those who are first will be last, and the last will be first. 44, where are we at?
Yeah.
44?
45.
45. For even the son of Adam did not come to be served, but to serve, and to give his life, a ransom for many. Very big things. You have the most qualified dude who's ever walked amongst us, who should be completely praised, but he says from his own mouth, he came to serve. How did he come to serve? Well, he came to show us the Torah. He came to be our Melchizedek priest. He came to be our sacrifice. He came to be our leader. He came to be all of this, which is why he is absolutely a great delegate for the responsibility. There's nobody better. There's no man ever out there that is more qualified than our Messiah to be a leader for the kingdom to come. It's very important that we are under good leaders. I don't know if you guys have ever been under bad bosses before, bad leadership. It sucks. It's not good. 46. And they came to Jericho. And as he was leaving Jericho with his Talmudim, a large crowd, blind Bartholomew, the son of Timai, was sitting by the way begging. And when he heard that it was Yahushua of Nazareth, he began to cry out and say, Yahushua, Ben of David, have compassion on me. And many were reprimanding him to be silent. But he cried out all the more, Ben of David, have compassion on me. This is the proverbial, the squeaky wheel gets the oil, right? This is the guy that did not care that people were shushing him, or did not care about anything. What he cared about was getting the attention of our Messiah, of his Messiah, and he just wanted, to be able to see. This guy's blind, right? What's wrong?
Yeah, he's blind Bartimaeus. I think it's more of a nickname they gave him, because they could have said Bartimaeus, who was blind, but I think his nickname was Blind Bartimaeus.
Okay. 49. And Yahushua stopped and said, call him. And they called the blind man, saying to him, take courage, arise, he's calling you. And he, throwing aside his garment, rose and came to Yahushua. And Yahushua responding said to him, what do you desire I do for you? And the blind man said to him, Rabboni, that I receive my sight. And Yahushua said to him, go, your belief has healed you. And immediately he saw again and followed Yahushua on the way. Amazing. This is absolutely simply amazing stuff that we hear on all of this stuff, guys. This is the leadership that our Creator's Son has, that he has distributed to all of us. And there's just a lot of things inside of Scriptures that are simply amazing. And so, guys, I guess what we'd like to leave this with you guys is that the greatest thing that you can ever do for your spiritual life is to seek our Creator. And it starts in prayer, it starts in the Scriptures, it starts in cleaning up our lives and getting our lives ready for this kingdom to come, being ready. We don't want to be like one of the virgins that had no oil, the ones that were left behind, the ones that couldn't make it to the wedding invitation. And there's no better time than right now to absolutely fall in love with your Torah. Fall in love with your Scriptures, because when you fall in love with the Torah, you have fallen in love with your Creator. Because that's words from our Creator. And when you hate the laws, when you say the laws are of no value or in the trash or in the garbage, by default, you hate the Creator. It doesn't matter how much you say you love God with all your heart, mind, and soul. If you hate his ways, you hate his guts. Let's be honest and let's be real. So with that, I think we're good. Jade, will you please
Bless the people.
bless the people?
Yahuwah brought you and guard you. Yahuwah make his face shine upon you and shall favor you. Yahuwah lift his face upon you and give you peace.
Okay.
Before you start the song,
Yeah.
what time are we going to do it next week? Because they're all in the daylight savings time.
Okay, so we're sticking with the same time you guys are at right now. So if it's
Time for us would be different for them.
Because for us,
2, let's stay with East Coast time. So it's what
So
time
one, it's 1 Eastern Standard Time. So we're still
1 is our time. So
That's
next
what
week,
we're-
next
right
week
now
they'll
we're-
be at noon, right?
Yeah, it will be at noon next week if we start. We're gonna start at noon.
But noon, but it'll be the same time for them,
because
right?
they spring forward,
Okay.
so they're going.
So guys, stick with the same time that you guys are at right now. We will move with you guys, even though we don't have time changes. We don't want to keep moving everybody, missing everybody. So we'll do it at 12. We're doing it currently at 1 o'clock. So that'll be the same for you guys after daylight saving time. We'll see you guys at 1 o'clock next week, right? You gave me the
No,
look.
because they're springing forward. They're not.
Are they
falling-
springing forward?
They're not falling back.
We're not falling back. So it's 2. 2 o'clock or 10?
No, so we'll be going to Central Standard Time. So the Eastern Standard Time right now is 1 o'clock where we're at right now, where we start at.
Yeah.
So if we...
No, we're not falling back. We should be going forward. Honestly, we have no idea. We're showing you guys our ignorance of time changes here. So
We haven't had them for 10 years. so
try
we
to.
don't know.
It's going to be the same time that you guys are on. We hope and believe. If something else changes, I'm sorry, but we'll try to get there very, very soon. Okay. Anything else?
No.
Okay. All right, guys. We love you all. Much love.
In the light of the Torah, we find our way. Yahuwah's commandments guide us every day. With his law so clear, we stand strong and free. Given armor, making shield for eternity. All praise to Yahuwah, his word is our might. soul. Following his paths we're made whole. Daily we ponder, nightly we dream. Yahweh's wisdom like a mighty stream. Oh, praise the Lord, his word is our might. Precepts so holy, lighting up our night. We tell our children, speak of them true. Write them on our hearts in all that we do. In the law we find our freedom soared. Torah's power we can't ignore. In his commandments we find peace. In Yahuwah's love we never cease. All praise to Yahuwah, his word is our might. Precepts so holy, lighting up our night. We tell our children, speak of them true. Write them on our hearts in all that we do. All that we do.
All right, brothers and sisters, thank you for everything. We appreciate all of you. May Yahweh bless you and keep you. May his light forever shine on you. May the grace of the Torah be in part of your life, and may we all be obedient children to the Most High and be loyal to him in all ways, shapes, and forms. All right, Miss Nicole, what do you have?
So I think it'll be 12 o'clock Central Time.
It's gonna be this. I think it's gonna be the same time.
Nothing should change for them at all.
Yeah, nothing should change for you guys. We'll get it all figured out on this side. So, guys, we love y'all. We hope you have a wonderful day.